All right, Lauren, tell us, why is this a standout track, specifically this version of this
Yeah.
song?
Yeah. So this whole album to me, I picked specifically, I went back and forth, like, why Stick Season Forever? Why this iteration? Because
Hmm.
I felt that Stick Season I could listen to top to bottom, and it was chef's kiss, amazing, perfect, wonderful.
Hmm.
But for me, once I got into the features at the end, it literally took the album to 11. So
Ah, I
I'm so
see.
sorry. That's just so cheesy, I know. But
That's the
for
whole thing.
me, I
Yeah.
know it's the first song on the album. I
Yeah.
think it tees you up to who Noah Kahan is, what he's bringing to you in
Yeah.
this album. And just that Hosier yell at the second verse, it
Hell of a voice.
literally, yeah,
What the
like
heck?
it feels to me like I'm cleaning my ears with a toothpick. Like it just feels so
Mm.
good, like
Hmm.
and so good, you know? So I felt it embodied everything that this podcast is about.
Mm.
And I just felt like the listeners who are here, you just have to listen to that song.
It is a pretty, I mean, it's a pretty knockout, like, first track
Yes.
Yeah.
for an album. And so then when you do listen to the forever version of the album and you get to hear Hosier like accompanying
Rip.
it, it's, I
Yeah.
mean, and I think it is just him like adding a track to the existing one, but
I
it's
think so.
still just, it blends so well together. If I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, didn't Noah Kahan write the thing for Time magazine about like Hosier being one of the most influential
Yeah,
artists or something like that?
he did.
So yeah, so I mean, like, yeah, it is a good marriage of that. It also does feel
Mhm.
like everything I was saying beforehand about him like coming back to his hometown and looking around and
Yeah.
being like, oh, this is why I am the way I am. This is where I've come from, but also like telling people like, oh, sorry if that's weird to you, that like this is how I do things, but if
Yeah.
you were from New England, you'd totally understand.
I also think the main hook to this is two of the best lines that I've heard that he's written. If I get too close and I'm not how you hoped, like
Ah,
that's a killer right there. Like
yeah.
that's a really like I've been reflecting on that the last couple days, and it's just like that's pretty much it's one of the we talk a lot about and we on our Sade episode we kind of talked about this too because you can give pop music any I feel like you can write off any pop music for any reason that you want to, right? But so often it is because we say it doesn't, it's like musical wallpaper, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't really say anything or doesn't pop out in some way. But then this is when art really like the shit in between, like
Mhm.
the fairy dust, you know, that is you wrote a line that is so universally relatable that like it can't not, you know, it can't not just pop off the page or out of the speakers at you when you hear it, when you actually hear it.
Yeah.
Um, and any of us should be so lucky to write one line of a song or a poem or something like that that would make people feel that way, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think too, like the whole crux of the first song, the whole song to me is just so opposite of how I feel as a Midwesterner.
Mm.
And I think I love
Huh.
that. Like I
Mm.
feel so like he's there, like this is who I am. I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm taking up so much space. And as a Midwesterner, I'm like, oh, I'm in the way. Oh, I gotta get out of the way. Like,
That's an interesting take on that. Yeah.
Yeah, there really is such a profound difference, like people who have grown up on the East Coast versus like as you travel from East to West Coast is like the sort of
Yeah.
things that change. And we've talked
So
about this
different.
before, like being kind versus being nice.
Yep.
Like, I
For
mean,
sure.
you grow up in the Northeast, you grow up in some harsh winters, you don't have as much light as you in other places. Like,
It's
you're going to be
true.
a little more snarky and sarcastic and harsh
to
and
the point,
direct
yeah.
and straightforward, which, like, although,
Yeah.
I mean, he's in his 20s, and I
Hmm.
think that he's also part of his generation because I mean, I grew up in like snarktastic town. Like that
Yeah.
was like just so much snark all the time, but he's growing up in an era when like sincerity was valued.
Hmm.
I don't know where we are now, but like he's managed to somehow ride the middle of that. There's the occasional snarky hook on here, but for the most, and there's one song in particular that that I dug on the album that I feel he does get a little bit snarkier, which of course is the one that's going to appeal to me. I've challenged Tyler with guessing which one it is, but
I think I know which one. But I will. But here, I have a take.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we are in an era of snark, though, right now.
Okay.
In pop music, like Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, like even Taylor, with the way that she approaches, like kind of talking about her relationships.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's snark. Is it snark, or is it like, because I think of some of Taylor's lyrics. Also, I would say there's some crossover here between Noah and Taylor. And Sabrina as being
even Chapel
as being clever, but I don't know about.
I think it's a form of snark, though.
I mean, Charlie XCX is snarky. Like she might as well have been born when I was born. Like, I mean, the way she like digs into things, it's like, which I mean, of course, of all of them, that's the one that I'm going to be drawn to. You know,
it tracks. That one tracks.
Yeah,
I love that.
But I do think that there is, and I watched some of the show he did at Fenway, and beautifully shot, beautifully produced, by the way. Like, it's really effective and like super professional and clean.
Oh, he just screams that Watertown. He just is all things Watertown.
It's crazy. But what's great is that he is so animated. You know, he's like he's like mugging, and he's not too cool for that, which I think is it's a pretty cool.
That's very Northeast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so stark. It contrasts with, we're seeing the Oasis tour that's happening right now. And to me, that sort of presence on stage totally contrasts with the kind of rock stardom that the Gallaghers have, which their whole thing is being stone-faced and unbothered and kind of like curmudgeonly and like that whole thing. And so they're of such a different era than like sincere ass Noah Kahan. They're just like going to clown around up on stage and stuff like that. And
his French braids, you know, he's just there.
Those things freak me out. I'm like, who is this guy?
I love him. So I got to get it out of the way.
I know. It's a strong choice. I will say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a very strong choice.
There's a song off of that album, or that live concert, Pain is Cold Water, and it's just him like loving Watertown, and I just love, like, he's just like bleeding, and I love it, you know. But I get what you're saying, and I think the snark kind of conversation is interesting, because I think we may be coming back. It could be all of the above. I think but I think, to that kind of comment at the beginning, like, we all come from what we were before, and so you know, I think this, and I think a lot of this Stick season comes post-COVID, so I think that's an interesting piece too. It
does sound like an album written during COVID. I mean, there is the one song that references specifically about like going on the plane, but there's COVID on the plane. But even if that lyric weren't there, there's something kind of like not claustrophobic, but like, hey, I'm hunkering down and writing these songs about this place that I know
How he's
well.
Talking about his house and like the you know, the frown, the frown face in the garage and things like that. Like, there's just so much to it, that the imagery, that I totally agree.
Well, the details on this album will make it so authentic, because of the fact that like you feel like he's referencing. He's like piecemealing autobiographical things, so it's not an entirely autobiographical album, but he's at least taken things that are specific enough, you know, against like the specific versus the general. Like, he is going right down the middle with the specific there.
Yep.
He's got some Bruce Springsteen in him.
Yeah.
He's got some, especially Hometown Pride kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got some Bruce Springsteen in him. And I think that's no one has ever called Bruce Springsteen insincere. You know, like, no one has ever used that term to describe Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. So I think that being a clear analog to me is like, that's the direction we're going, is more in the, like, as he grows older, he could go more in like a Bruce Springsteen of his generation kind of direction, which I think would be great for him, honestly. As such, let me guess what Michael's favorite song was on the album. And I think it was Homesick.
No.
What?
It's not Homesick.
It's not Homesick?
No.
You want to know why I thought that?
Why?
I thought that because it felt like Homesick was the most like a modern rock song on the album. You know, like, to me, there was some Weezer in Homesick,
Okay.
And there's definitely some Pearl Jam in Homesick, I think.
Okay.
And you know what else there is? There's a little Third Eye Blind in Homesick. And that's why I thought that, okay, but how wrong was I?
Oh
what
my
was
goodness.
I think kind of wrong, actually.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the song that really stood out to me was New Perspective.
Oh,
because
why?
that's the one where I feel like he's being, I mean, that's the one where I feel like he's being also a little bit critical. Like he's come back to his hometown, especially the part about like them putting up a Target and now it's called downtown. Like that's the one where it feels like he's looking at his hometown and being like, what the hell is this place now?
Yeah.
And we're all supposed to be like, it's so good to be back home. Well, I don't recognize this place anymore.
Damn.
How are you all expecting me to come back home and be like, it's so great to be back here? Because it's not.
Right.
And so like that's for me why. Also musically, I think there's something kind of propulsive about that song.
Okay. Cool.
And I think it's also one of the songs on the album where he's not always full tenor. Like he kind of goes a little bit lower. And I've learned over time that I feel like my male vocalists are either like Bon Iver or they are, like a nice gruffy Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, but then you got Chris Cornell in there though too.
Yeah, but he's sort
Chris Cornell was a unicorn.
Chris Cornell transcends out all, so yeah,
that's true. Yeah, true ass. You know what I thought was did you guys read that Vanity Fair interview with him?
I did not get to.
He was basically like, I was playing soccer in high school. And then I got injured and like I couldn't do that. And so he thought he was going to be like, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like basically saying like, I thought I was going to be the sports guy. Like I thought that was going to be my thing, but then that didn't work out for me. So I was like, all right, shit, I'll just be the music guy. And I think that's so funny. I know. Isn't that interesting? Because it's such an interesting way to approach it. He wasn't like, I have this deep artistic thing that I need to say, not at least at the beginning, right? Maybe he thinks that now, but like instead it was almost like a trade. It's like, well, fuck it. Like I guess I'll try to be a rock star or something like that.
Yeah.
Like there's a self-belief in that. That's kind of admirable, I think, right? He clearly knew he had a chance to, like maybe he knew he had a good voice and he knew he could play guitar, like he could play instruments pretty well. And he's like, I have a chance at being big. Isn't that interesting? I've never been a person that thought that, like I've never been a person that thought, I could be huge.
Well, it's because you were raised Catholic. So
True. Double true. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more nuts and bolts, right? We asked you to nominate 4 albums. I'll say out loud that Noah pipped you to Bon Iver a couple seasons ago. I know that you really wanted to talk about Bon Iver's self-titled. The second, the sophomore album. Maybe we do a bonus for that because there's miles we could go on that. But because we asked you to nominate 4 albums, this was also on the list. So tell us a little bit more about what those standards were that you were using to choose quote unquote perfect albums.
So I think we talked about this at the beginning, but I feel like, and I mentioned it too, I'm a big playlist person. So I think there are a few albums, I could probably name 3 off the top of my head that I have listened to front to back to front, like, track after track, as it's meant to be.
Sure.
And I think this is one of them, obviously. But the biggest thing for me is more when I do have like a playlist that's curated for me. Because I do lots of, writing, listening to music while I write, my notes, and when I'm doing the dishes and taking care of little ones. So like to me, as I'm listening to a playlist, if I'm not skipping that track, and I know skipping tracks is a thing, but to me it's more about like when it's a bigger context of the playlist. If I'm skipping a track that just doesn't fit, I never skip a Noah Kahan. In the whole context of the album, am I skipping tracks? No, because I love it. But when I'm also listening to just like a culmination of different artists, like never
See, I don't think we've heard it expressed that way. That's an interesting way of saying is that when these songs pop up other places, I never turn them down.
Yep.
That's a good, I like that. Okay. Was there, what other shared qualities did the albums on your list have? Like was there a common, did you feel there was a common theme other than them being perfect,
Oh yeah, obviously they're all perfect.
Yeah.
No, I think for me, we talked to a little bit like when I was starting kind of exploring music for myself, um, again, post parents' divorce, I went very like emo. So
Yeah.
like that alt emo like we were talking about. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I've taken the path around to like we're gonna scream and be mad to then like there's Bon Iver, there's
Mm-hmm.
Nova Amor, there's Lee Fulbeck, there's just lots of like other artists that we can feel and we can like sing about feelings and it just like be like more subdued.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's less in your face, more of like, let's dig into the meaning of what we're talking about in Homesick.
Mm.
Let's dig into that. And so I do think all the albums I picked are just lyrically and musically beautiful. So like the Casey Musgraves,
Yeah.
um, I'm a huge Ben Rector
You
fan.
are a
So
big
like
You've seen Ben Rector like a crazy
too
amount of
many
times,
times
right?
to count. Yeah.
More than
But I
Ben
think
Folds?
yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Just because I
Okay.
lived in Oklahoma and he's from Oklahoma, and so
That's
I
fair.
guess maybe hometowns too. Maybe I just like people
Yeah.
who like their hometowns. I don't know.
And Bon Iver is so like Bon Iver is so specifically Wisconsin, right? Like
Yeah,
that's a
Yeah.
oh,
yeah,
I'm seeing a connective. There's something
Hmm.
there for you. That's so
yeah.
interesting.
We are going to talk about Casey Musgraves at some point.
Oh,
Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
another artist that just
gosh.
keeps like sort of like bopping in and out of people's lists, and we're like
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
time will be right at some point to
I
talk
think
about
it's
Casey
I think
Musgraves.
she's still ascending.
yeah.
I think Casey Musgraves has not we've not seen the best of Casey Musgraves yet. Well, you know, these are good standards. I feel like, man, we could go on for a long time. There's like, I feel like we barely scratched the surface, which is just exciting because that just means that we'll want to talk music with you again. Michael, I think maybe we should deliberate, right? It's kind of getting to that time.
I think it's time for the
Dun, dun, deliberation phase.
Oh gosh. Jeez.
it's
Yeah,
so
we
much
gotta-
easier to do that in person.
It
It's so
is
much easier to do
crazy.
that in
Yeah, it's
person.
crazy. Okay. I'll start. I just want to say I'm so happy that this was the album that we got to talk about because I feel like it's where you are right now. You know, like I
Mhm.
feel like overwhelmingly, I've gotten the sense that in your argument that you've established of this album, is that it just speaks so much specifically to you right in this moment, in that you discovered it kind of recently. It was like it's so lyrically impactful for you. Like all these are really like present things, and I think I just, you know, if I may, you know, like I'm really excited for where you are in your life because you have your first kid, you know, and you're like kind of working and trying to like figure that out. And it's this is such a transition time for you. I feel like you thrive in transitional times. Like you're the kind of person who you figure out who you are in those moments, you know? And maybe we all do to some extent, but like, that's what made it really exciting to hear what you love about this album. Cause it's so based in conflict, you know, like internal
Mm.
struggle and like growth and appealing to a wide audience too, you know, like being like there's something about this guy, he's so huge, that I think you just kind of you really effectively tied all those things together, and I'm grateful for it. That's kind of where I'm at. What about you, Michael?
I mean, I have to admit, and I did share a little chat with Tyler beforehand, before this conversation. This is, I do not think this album is meant for me in 2025. It is not. I'm like listening to it. There's something about what he sings about and the way he sings about it. Rude, Philadelphia. I'm trying to talk here.
We love public transportation. Yeah. just to be
Oh,
clear,
it's not public transit. That was like someone's motorcycle or
Oh,
something.
come on,
Oh.
guys. What are we doing?
Motorcycles, death rockets. Don't ride them, y'all.
Yeah.
Death rockets. Yeah.
But there's not, like this music. I think the people right now that I've had the most interaction with who would relate to this music are the students that I had at the place I just worked. And I did not have much in common with them. I will say, though, I feel like there is a thing he does that is the sort of like critical eye he brings. Like listening to this reminded me a little bit of being in my 20s and like when you rediscover home and you discover, you know, like the world starts opening up to you, and like I feel like in your 20s you have two choices. One, you can hunker down and like really embrace the same sort of beliefs and ideologies that you've always had and not question them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can choose to question them and you can expand your mind, and you might ultimately end up coming back to the same sort of, you know, foundation, but you've at least like expanded your horizons, and as a result you don't look at the world the same way. And I think this album very much defines that. And so like, and I think that the when you talked about being on a plane and hearing these tracks, first of all, it just like that immediately put me in a place, because I've become very anxious and afraid of flying lately. And I was just thinking about, you mentioned your routines, you mentioned hearing the songs, and I just think about like to have music really like puncture something and get through to you in that time when, I mean, I don't know how you feel about flying, but like that pre-flight thing is a very like sort of space.
Is, yeah.
So
stomach twist.
The fact that it got through to you there, I mean, I think that sort of there was an early victory for you in this case, because I had a visceral response to what you were describing. I also just like when people can mention the exact moment when something really got through to them, because that's not always the case. And in music that I discover now, I don't have the same sort of response as the stuff that I, you know, when like needs to introduce something to me, or like I found it in the Reckless Records, or like you know, so I don't know. That's where I stand. I think this is this reminds me of a time that I can't relate to as much anymore, but like it did make me think back and be like, oh yeah, that's what I was like in my 20s. All right, fine,
God
Noah.
Damn it. Yeah. Okay.
I love that, because, you know, Tyler and I are back in our hometown. I just had a kid, and now like I'm rediscovering St. Louis again.
As
you know,
an adult.
as an adult and as a mom, you know, and I think those are two seasons that like are tough. And, you know, so I think you kind of hit the nail on the head for really where I am and how hard it is. You know?
Yeah. And there's a joy to it. Like I think that's the other thing that feels like it doesn't feel dour. Like it feels like this ultimately is an album that has a lot of positivity to it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think we need to be positive all the time. I'm not like toxic like that, I hope. But like, you know, like I just think that this album expresses it in a way that doesn't feel schmaltzy. You know, like it does. It's pretty. It seems authentic. It smacks of authenticity. So,
well, Tyler, let me put it. Now I'm going to ask you. You have to. Lauren's your sister.
Yeah.
I need you to wipe away that familial bias.
Yep,
okay.
It's gone.
Like you need to be harsh.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You need to crush her dreams right now. If that's exactly how
when
you
necessary.
feel. So we've heard Lauren's case. We've listened to the album ourselves. We've done a bit of research. What do you say? Do you think that Noah Kahan's Stick Season (parentheses forever close parentheses) goes to 11? Is it a perfect album? Can it join the pantheon?
It goes all the way to 11. Absolutely. Yeah. It's pretty clear. Pretty clear. And you know what I love is sometimes, and this is a peek behind the curtain, sometimes I listen to an album for this podcast and I don't like it more by the time I have done the episode, right? But this was an album that, and that's not all, like that happens rarely. Sometimes it's not, most of the albums I end up really liking a lot more by the time we get done doing the episode. The vast majority, it's only been a handful, but this one I definitely like. I appreciate it more and more each time I listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
Well chosen, Lorne.
Thanks.
Hell yeah.
The cool thing, though, I have to say, in prep for this, I was really kind of thinking like, so obviously I listened to this when I was pregnant with my son. And so now when he's in the car and we listen to it, I can just see his face in the back and he just like smiles at it. He's like, I know this song. But two things.
Yeah.
Number one, we also have been listening to the podcast and he smiles and coos when he hears Uncle Tai Tai's voice. Not that he doesn't for you, Uncle Michael, but just he is enamored with Mr. Mustache over there. Plus, we are a Raffi positive family here.
Yes, we are.
But sometimes I can only take Wheels on the Bus for so long. So we
Yeah.
do listen to like the Steely Dans and the yacht rock because it's easy on his ears.
Yeah.
But to take it back to Brian Zeiske's episode, there is Radiohead for babies.
Yeah.
And we do indulge in a lot of good there.
Start 'em
And
early.
you just,
Start 'em early.
So just kudos to you all that you bring so much joy to our family, and we love you both. And just thank you for doing what you do here because this is so fun.
See, that's like points. You just gave us points.
Yeah,
That's
I am
better
a
than
therapist,
points.
so I can't end and not be like, you
Yeah.
all did great. Thank you for being
Yeah.
here.
I love you for it. This is the best, Lorne.
Well, I was going to say that feels like a pivot to something that is maybe we feel conflicted about, which is, hey, are you following us on social media?
You should if you want
Do
to.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can like just do it just so that you can get like the episode announcements, so you know when something's coming out. Because we
At the very
don't,
least.
just like have us when you're flipping, and then do what I do, y'all, which is I'm still on Instagram, but I log out every time I go in, so it's purposefully, and then I log out, and then I put it away.
Smart.
But yeah, we're on all those things. Like, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, like and subscribe, as the people like to say. And yeah, I mean, thanks again, Lauren. Look forward to seeing you in person again at some point.
Yes.
And I guess that means it's time for us to say
Bye.